just curious. Those are no idle words for Hollywood producer Brian Grazer. Grazer talks about his eclectic search with our newest Sunday morning contributor, Scott Simon of National Public Radio, who begins by expressing a little curiosity of his own.
I say this with respect. What the hell does a producer do?
A producer, producer's supposed to generate an idea for a movie.
Yeah.
And then they're supposed to create the team, the group of people that are going to make this movie. And within that team, the producer has to have a creative vision and a fiscal vision, and they have to adhere to both things.
That's the most coherent answer I've ever heard.
Thank you.
And Brian Grazer produces. Grazer has made movies about astronauts trapped in space.
Houston, we have a problem.
Geniuses with troubled minds.
Hold it! Professor Nash?
Demons, omens, codes,
And scholars who crack ancient codes.
Da Vinci.
The films he's made have won Oscars, dazzled audiences, and earned more than $13 billion. He's produced television shows, including 24, Arrested Development, and this year's breakout hit, Empire.
You did this to me?
No, I swear. No, I didn't.
Ghetto rat. You'll always be a ghetto rat.
Through it all, Ron Howard has been Grazer's friend and business partner.
It is kind of an odd couple relationship in a way.
A relationship that's outlasted most Hollywood marriages, including all three of Grazer's.
It's probably because we've never really taken it for granted. We've never said this is it for all time.
They met in the early 1980s. Grazer was an aspiring producer, Howard a sitcom icon who wanted to direct.
We made 2 movies in a row, Night Shift and Splash, that were Brian's ideas, that were creatively, fun, exciting, they were successful.
What's your name?
It's hard to say in English.
How many no's did Splash
Say in
get?
your language.
Splash got 700-800 no's.
My name is...
Because they didn't want to do a mermaid movie.
That mermaid movie made a splash, and stars of Tom Hanks and Daryl Hannah, and Brian Grazer, a surprise success. Grazer had trouble reading as a boy, but his grandmother Sonia didn't just see the D's and F's on his report card.
She identified my strength, which was to ask questions, to dig inside of subjects, to dig inside of people. She told me that that would have a great value in my life, and it did.
Grandma Sonia encouraged his curious mind.
I think that we all absolutely have curiosity. It brings about knowledge, it's energizing, it's spiritually empowering, it makes us more interesting as people.
Which is why for 30 years now, Brian Grazer has written notes to famous strangers to ask them to have what he calls a curiosity conversation. He's talked to scientists, politicians, artists, and entrepreneurs, Jonas Salk, Oprah Winfrey, Steve Jobs, and Henry Kissinger. His new book, A Curious Mind, published by CBS's Simon & Schuster, is less about the famous films he's made than conversations he's sought.
Why did you write this book and not a memoir?
I think writing a memoir in some way suggests that you've figured out life. And I definitely didn't figure out life, but I thought the process of curiosity was really worth writing about.
These conversations Grazer arranges can't be scripted like a movie.
I remember I used to ask Andy Warhol, why are you painting Campbell's soup cans? Do they look beautiful to you? He goes, I like them. Never answered any question.
Dr. Edward Teller agreed to talk to him, even though the father of the hydrogen bomb told him he hadn't seen a movie since Dumbo.
Were you ever intimidated by anybody that you have one of these conversations with?
That's a good question. I've been intimidated, yes. I've been intimidated.
By?
The first person that comes to mind is George W. Bush. I was a little intimidated.
Not every conversation has a Hollywood ending. Grazer flew across the country to talk to Isaac Asimov, the science fiction writer, and his wife.
They ordered 2 ginger ales, and by the time the ginger ales hit their lips, they were saying, we're leaving. I go, how could you leave? Well, we could see you do not know enough about robotics or the subjects that live inside science fiction.
Were they right?
I thought they were right. I don't think I knew enough about his work.
In 2001, Grazer and a few friends visited Cuba and had a conversation with Fidel Castro.
He just speaks kind of nonstop without a breath. But when he did take his first breath, after about 3.5 hours, he did say, "How do you do your hair?"
Over the years, Grazer's electroshock of hair has become like Castro's cigar, a personal signature. So we were curious.
Why the hair?
Oh, well, why the hair? About 18 years ago, I jumped out of a swimming pool with my daughter, and I popped my hair up, and my daughter goes, "Oh my God, that's so cool." I don't know what I would be. I wouldn't even know who I would be if I didn't do my hair like this.
What he learns from his conversations may wind up in a film, but not directly. Grazer talked to Jim Lovell, the commander of Apollo 13, but it was his conversation with a Chilean activist named Veronica de Negre, who had been tortured, that made the story of survival in space come alive.
We all knew before seeing that movie that they make it back, but it's how they make it back.
Hello, Houston. This is Honesty. It's good to see you again.
How they reached inside of their own soul to find resources that they never thought existed was sort of the same thing that Veronica de Negre did when she was tortured in Chile, and I met her probably 10, 12 years before that. So you often don't know how these little dots get connected when you're on this journey of curiosity.
Ron Howard came along on a few curiosity conversations, but just out of curiosity.
These conversations are never about earning favors or asking for any kind of business advantage. It's really an honest conversation.
Brian Grazer's Santa Monica home is airy, sleek, and tastefully plush, but he keeps a touch of boyhood in the backyard.
Because I do love this swing. You want to sit in it? Well, the swing has symbolic value. It completely connects to innocence and childhood and naivety and safety.
You can do this every night. This is an opportunity.
All right.
The swing looks like the gateway to a curious mind.
Oh, my. Thank you.
I love this.